We're going to take notes in our ELA notebook today. So you need to open to the table of contents, write compare and contrast, page 6 through 19. Now we're not going to do all of these pages today, we're just going to do some of them because that is a lot of pages. And then I think Friday we do the rest of them. So after you write that in your table of contents, you're going to turn to page 6. Oops. Turn to page 6. You're going to write compare and contrast at the top. Make sure you write page 6 at the bottom. And then you're going to write characters with 2 circles. So when you compare and contrast things in a story, you can compare and contrast the characters, the setting, or the events. So we are going to look at each of those individually. So when we compare and contrast the characters, that's what we're going to talk about first. And we're going to use our book Frindle that we have been reading. So we're going to compare and contrast Nick and Miss Granger. So on one of your circles, you're going to write Nick's name at the top. And on the other, you're going to write Miss Granger. So you're going to tell how Nick is different from Miss Granger here, how Miss Granger is different from Nick here, and then how they are alike in where they overlap. And you don't use general terms. You don't use you have to be specific and talk about their character traits or their personality. You don't just say boy, girl, human. Okay, that's not specific enough or deep enough. All right, so if we think about Nick is a very curious boy. He is always looking at the world around him and exploring it. It also told us in there that Nick was very creative because he comes up with all sorts of different plans and ideas. Not just starting of the word Frindle, but remember he had a way of asking a teacher a question that would make them talk until the end of class, and then the teacher would forget to give out homework. He tried that with Miss Granger, but it didn't work. So Miss Granger is strict, and she loves the dictionary. Now, notice these are just words or phrases. They're not complete sentences. Now, how are Nick and Miss Granger alike? Well, they're both in 5th grade. Now, yes, Nick is a student and Miss Granger is a teacher, but they are both in 5th grade. Now, a lot of times kids will ask how many things need to go in the circles. As many as you can think of. Okay? If you can think of more, you can add more to this. Now we're going to look at the setting. So you're going to draw 2 more circles, label it setting. All right, we're going to compare and contrast the setting in Frindle to our distance learning school. So the school in Frindle, oops, forgot the L, to distance learning. All right, so the school in Frindle is in person. You actually go in person. They switch classes in Frindle. I think Miss Granger was his last class that he went to. And then he has different teachers. Miss Granger is just his ELA teacher. Different teachers. In distance learning, you don't go in person, you're on the computer. And you have the same teacher for all your subjects. Now, how are they the same? Well, they both have ELA in them. Whether the school in Frindle or distance learning, they both have English Language Arts in there. They're both multiple students in the class. The school in Frindle and distance learning has multiple students. And they both happen in a small town. Distance learning is in Long Beach, which is a small town, and the school in Frindle is also in a small town. So that was all on page 6. Now we're going to go to page 7. Make sure you write compare and contrast at the top of page 7. You write page 7 at the bottom of page 7. And now we're going to compare and contrast some events. So you're going to give yourself 2 nice big circles that take up about half the page and label it events. So the event that we're going to compare and contrast is when the principal visits Nick's home. So we're going to label this principal visits Nick's home. And we're going to compare and contrast Mom and Dad's reaction to this visit. Mom and Dad's reaction to this event. So if you remember, Mom backs up her son. At one point, I think wanted to shout out, "Yeah, way to go, Mom!" But he didn't. Mom looks annoyed, but she doesn't look annoyed at Nick. She looks annoyed at the situation. She also said, these are just kids having harmless fun. She was annoyed that she was having to spend her time in this conversation. And she's assertive. She speaks up and speaks her mind and tells what she thinks. Now, Dad at one point backs up Miss Granger. Because he's like, yeah, we can't have kids going around saying ain't. And then when Nick's like, well, ain't's in that big dictionary he has, then Dad starts to be lost and confused. And he even starts stuttering. Stutters. He's not assertive like Mom is. He's like, oh yeah, well, and yeah, he wasn't very assertive and he wasn't sure what to say. How are Mom and Dad both alike? Well, they both speak up. Neither one of them sit there quietly. They both do speak up, just Mom is very assertive in the way she talks and Dad is very confused and stuttering in the way he talks. All right, now at the bottom of page 7, you're going to make a chart comparing words and contrasting words. Line down the middle. Write down all the comparing words and write down all the contrasting words. Comparing is how you tell that things are the same. Okay, so some words when you're reading something that might tell you how things are the same, or if you are ever asked to write a comparison, you need to use words like this: both, same, similar, also, as well as, and to. Contrasting is when you tell how things are different from each other. So some words you might see or some words you might use when you're telling how things contrast would be different, differ, in contrast, on the other hand, however, although, while, and whereas. So you might want to pause the video at this time and get all those copied down. Now you're going to look at page 8. You want to write compare and contrast on the top of page 8. Write page 8 at the bottom of page 8. And glue down this page. It should be in your paperclip stack of notes. Glue down this page. Now, you don't have to write anything on this page. It's just telling you that when you're comparing and contrasting, you don't want to use surface level comparisons. You want to do deep level. For example, surface, both characters are boys. No, you need to look deeper than that. Both characters exhibit bravery when faced with the challenges of being lost. That's a deeper comparison than just they're boys. The settings are both warm areas. That's surface area. The settings are both outdoor camp during the summer in warm climates. That's a much deeper, in-depth comparison. Okay? One school setting is large and the other is small. Both settings are at school. However, one school is large, overcrowded school in the city. The other one is in a small school in the country. Okay, so you should be seeing the difference where these are just very general and the deeper are very specific. Both characters have problems to solve. That's surface level. Both characters have problems involving miscommunication that must be solved. They miscommunicated important details that caused the problem for people. Now we're going to look at page 9. Write compare and contrast on page 9. The top, write page 9 at the bottom of page 9, and glue down this page. Now on this page, we are going to write down some things or take some notes. So when you're comparing and contrasting characters, it's easy to look at surface things. So we really need to look at how we can look deeper into the character. So you need to look about their feelings and their personalities, not just boy, girl, and blonde or brown hair. Okay, you need to look deeper than that. So character feelings, we're going to write the emotions they have in response to a specific situation. They can change over time. So the emotions they have in response to a situation. So if they wake up late for school, what are the emotions they have? You know, some people might just be like, oh no, hurry up and get dressed. Some people may break down and cry over it. Okay, that's their emotions in response to that event. All right, character traits are a part of their personality. This A should be over here. A part of their personality. That is consistent over time. So their feelings can change, but their character traits stay the same. All right. Now we're going to look at feelings versus traits. So feelings would be happy, sad, angry, scared, jealous. Now, are those all the feelings in the world? No. Those are just some examples. Character traits would be kind, generous. Somebody who's very giving is generous. Shy, rude, respectful. Oops, forgot the E. Respectful. So you can see the difference, hopefully, between feelings and traits. Now we're going to look at page 10. You do not have to write compare and contrast on the top of page 10 because it says it right here in the title. Make sure you write page 10 at the bottom of page 10. It says, when readers compare and contrast characters, they look for ways that the characters are similar and ways that they're different. So just like we said a few minutes ago, they can be similar or different based off physical traits. We did personality traits, but they could also be off of physical traits. That's more surface level though. Ooh, interests, hobbies, jobs. Those are good things to look at, how people or characters are different or the same. Dislikes, feelings we just talked about. Reactions to problems or challenges. Okay? How they respond to those events. So we don't have anything to write on there. That was just notes. Then if we look on page 11, you're going to write page 11 at the bottom, and you're going to glue down this page. Again, there's no notes for us to take. We just need to glue it down. If you're having trouble describing a character trait, you could look at this list to see how that character could be described if they were had these traits. For example, creative. That was Nick that we used. I would also say he's pretty adventurous, right? I would say Nick and Miss Granger are both stubborn because neither one of them wanted to give up their stance in the battle. Nick didn't want to stop using the word, and Miss Granger kept giving students after-school detentions. So they were both pretty stubborn. All right, so that's a list that you can use to help you when you're comparing and contrasting character traits. All right, if you turn to page 12, you're going to glue this page down and write page 12 at the bottom. So at this point, I want you to pause the video. I want you to read this on your own and answer this question at the bottom. Then I want you to unpause the video and see what the answer says and see if you got it right. So hopefully you've read the story, and it asked you what character trait does Rita demonstrate and what details from the story support the trait. You might have something different, and that's okay. If you're struggling, here's what I said, or here's what you could put down. In the story, Rita demonstrates determination. From the newspaper article and second place medal mentioned in the story, I can infer that Rita lost a state finals race. It didn't say she lost, but we can surely infer it from the details in the story. Now she is determined to do better. The story states, while the city slept, Rita ran through the frigid streets until her lungs burned. To me, that is definitely someone who is determined because everybody else is sleeping. She gets up early, and even when her lungs are killing her, she keeps pushing through. And notice that when I did quote the story, I put quotation marks around it. When you use the detail from the story, you need to use quotation marks. All right, page 13, you need to glue down this page. At the bottom, you're asked to compare and contrast Alex and Alan. Include as many comparison and contrasts as you can in your response. You can draw a Venn diagram like we drew on page 6 and 7, I believe it was. You might want to pause the video here, read the story, and then you can look and see what I did in my Venn diagram. Alright, so in my compare and contrast of Alex and Alan, I had Alex was tall, lean, and patient. He does not want to go over the fence. No, I'm sorry, he does want to go over the fence. Alan did not. He's outgoing and he's relaxed. Alan is short, squat, and quick to make decisions. He does not want to go over the fence. He's shy and nervous. Notice I didn't, I'm not going to say they're both boys. I'm not going to describe their hair or anything. We want to go deeper than just surface level. They are both twins. They both play sports. And they're both polite because they both ask permission to go get their ball. So they are polite. Alright, so we took a lot of notes on comparing and contrasting. Oh, let me leave that there in case you want to pause the video and copy that down. We took a lot of notes on comparing and contrasting, and that's what we're going to work on this week. We will take more notes later in the week, I believe on Friday. But for this week, when you do your reading workbook pages, you're going to be looking at comparing and contrasting characters. If y'all have any questions, email me.